Continuity under constraint. Why the USMCA may survive but on U.S. security terms. The December 5th North American leaders meeting signaled that trade, security, and geopolitics in North America may be now linked as per the NSS 2025. For Mexico, the USMCA will likely continue but more closely tied to U.S. security concerns. On December 5, 2025, the official draw for the 2026 FIFA World Cup took place at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. What might have been a purely sporting spectacle became an inflection point for North American geopolitics. It marked the first in-person encounter between Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum, U.S. President Donald Trump, and Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney. The convergence of the event with the mandatory 2026 review of the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, mounting trade frictions, and the publication, just one day earlier, of the United States' new National Security Strategy, NSS 2025, transformed a symbolic occasion into a strategic signal of what may come next for the region. The encounters. The trilateral discussion unfolded against a highly sensitive backdrop: Washington's growing tariff measures, the upcoming USMCA review, disputes over automotive and steel rules of origin, and broader concerns about supply chain resilience. Layered over these issues was the NSS 2025, which reframes the Western Hemisphere as a region of privileged strategic interest for the United States and treats international commerce as a core instrument of national power. According to reports from U.S. and international media outlets, the leaders first spoke about the economic opportunities tied to the 2026 World Cup, tourism flows, regional investment, infrastructure spending, and the event's potential to accelerate North American economic growth. They emphasized the need to coordinate security, mobility, and logistical planning across the three countries. At the same time, all three leaders publicly embraced the idea of strengthening North America's competitiveness as an integrated economic bloc. In the bilateral meeting between Mexico and the United States, press accounts indicate that the conversation centered overwhelmingly on trade and the future of the USMCA. Sensitive sectors, including automotive manufacturing, steel, aluminum, and cross-border supply chains, were highlighted as areas requiring delicate negotiation. Migration and domestic political pressures in the United States also appeared prominently. Security issues were not formally announced, but both U.S. and Mexican media agreed that fentanyl trafficking, narcotics flows, and border operations formed an inevitable layer to the dialogue. No formal agreements emerged, but the meeting highlighted how tightly security considerations are now intertwined with economic affairs. Following the encounter, Sheinbaum called the meeting excellent and highlighted continued trade talks and World Cup cooperation. Trump struck a friendlier tone afterward but kept pressure on trade and the USMCA review, while Carney defended renewing the agreement and resolving disputes through its formal mechanisms. The new kid in the block, the NSS 2025 factor. The new National Security Strategy, made public on December 4, 2025, provides essential context for interpreting the trilateral meeting. The NSS assigns a central role to the Western Hemisphere, asserting that U.S. preeminence in the region is a national security imperative. It articulates what it calls a Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine, a framework aimed at preventing extra-hemispheric powers, particularly China, from gaining influence, while consolidating the region as a strategic sphere oriented toward U.S. interests. Crucially, the NSS 2025 does not treat trade as an independent domain but as an instrument of national security. It states explicitly that the United States will prioritize commercial diplomacy and deploy tariffs, reciprocal agreements, and economic leverage as powerful tools to secure strategic objectives. Under this doctrine, trade becomes a mechanism to induce security cooperation, regulate supply chains, foster nearshoring under U.S.-centric conditions, and shape migration and countercrime dynamics. Threat assessment and implications for Mexico. Although the NSS does not mention the USMCA by name, its implications are obvious. Washington will use trade agreements according to its strategic needs, no longer as static commitments to free trade principles. The USMCA becomes, in this view, the principal platform through which the United States can operationalize economic security strategies within North America. Under this logic, the most probable scenario for Mexico is not the termination of the USMCA but its continuity, but under a far more demanding renegotiation window in 2026. The treaty would continue to exist but reshaped to reflect U.S. strategic priorities. Less as a trade agreement and more as a security economy instrument within a U.S.-defined hemispheric architecture. Mexico is not unfamiliar with this type of model. The Security and Prosperity Partnership of North America, SPP, attempted, in the mid-2000s, to integrate the region economically while coordinating trilateral security efforts on counterterrorism, border modernization, functional security perimeter, cooperation against organized crime, health and emergency preparedness, and protection of transportation and digital infrastructure. Although the initiative ultimately faltered for political reasons, its analytical groundwork, agreements, and experiences moved forward on the idea that economic integration and security integration were inseparable. Mexico may find value in revisiting those frameworks, entering the 2026 review better prepared for a negotiation where security and commerce will most probably be treated as indivisible.